One of the criticisms that gets levelled by fans from the Southern Hemisphere at Antoine DuPont, and also other French players, is that they never play south of the equator. They never come to the Southern Hemisphere. Now, that is due to the nature of the top 14, which pays the wages of all of these players. It doesn't finish until basically July. So the French national team cannot use the July test window as a first-choice French team. More's the pity. And I mean, World Rugby have got to do a global calendar at some point to solve this problem as one of many problems. But it's just a reality. Antoine DuPont rarely, if ever, plays in the Southern Hemisphere. Well, it looks like he's going to this weekend. I am so excited already. And it's only Monday as I record this. The game isn't until Saturday afternoon or early evening in South Africa. But I am properly excited about the superstars of Toulouse. DuPont and Ntamak and Ramos, Malia, Kinghorn, Chocobares, Willis, Meafu, Malvaka. Superstars everywhere you look. Going to town in Durban and playing in the Shark Tank against Khaleesi, Unche, Mbanambi, Koch, Etzebeth. Well, I was going to say Fassi. He won't be available. I'll come to that. I'll come to how the teams are shaping up. I will pick a combined 23-man squad. I know the teams haven't even been announced yet. That's going to happen later in the week. But based on who you might expect to be playing or who you would pick or who could be available, who would you pick in a combined 23-man squad if you had all the Toulouse players and all the Sharks players? Who would you pick? And what does that tell us about how this game's going to go and what the route to victory is for both of these sides? If you appreciate the content on the channel, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe as well. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers. Give me your comments down below. What are you expecting from this one? I'm buzzing for it. I really am. This is what the Champions Cup should be about. And I say should because it isn't what the Champions Cup is about these days. Because for the most part, when teams have away games, they quite often send a weakened team and we get robbed of these kind of occasions. But it looks like we're going to have a team stacked with Springboks against a team stacked with not just French internationals, but internationals from all around the world. They have played before in this competition. It was in 2023, the quarter-final. That game was in Toulouse and it was a beatdown, really. Toulouse won 54 points to 20. And yeah, the Sharks got blown away on that occasion. The Sharks are better than they were then. Or at least, sorry, the Sharks should and could be better than they were then. They're at home, that's going to make a big difference. But they've also got the potential with the players that they have and the ones they've recruited, they've got the potential to be better than they were then. It's just a question with the Sharks, can they actually put, firstly, their best team out on the field? And I'll come to that. And can they deliver on the potential and the promise that they absolutely have in a way that they haven't done enough in the URC or in the Champions Cup? They need a win big time in this competition, or basically they earned, they won the Challenge Cup last year, earned the right to be in this competition, were buzzing to be there, and they haven't delivered yet. And a defeat in this game, having to then go away from home, that could be really significant. So they need a win. Toulouse are clearly going for top seed and trying to go to South Africa and get the points. And I'm basing that on the fact that Toulouse picked basically a second or third string team against La Rochelle in the top 14 at the weekend, which leads me to believe that they're going to go full strength against the Sharks. DuPont could be strolling around in uMhlanga Rocks. I had an amazing steak there when I was there for the Island series. What was it called? Not the Fat Butcher. Butcher Boys. I can't remember what the place was called, but it was great. And they did a steak which had a bit of bone marrow on it, which they came and did with a blowtorch. Oh, actually salivating thinking about it now. I would recommend that place. Anyway, other than my meat recommendations, well, basically just buy a steak in South Africa and you can't go wrong. Where was I? I've completely got off track there. That's my belly talking. Oh, yeah. The Sharks need to put out a full-strength team in order to pull this win off, which they're capable of. But they are without Esterhazen and Fassi. That's massive. That is massive. But on the flip side, the positive is it looks like Etzebeth's going to be available after a concussion, and Bongi and Banambi could well be cleared to play. Now, those two players are equally massive in the pack. I mean, just look at the Derby South African matches in the URC over the festive period. Look at the difference in scrummaging when Bongi and Banambi wasn't there and Etzebeth wasn't there. Makes a huge difference. The Bulls and the Stormers, to a lesser degree, got the edge against the Sharks. So, yeah, they need those boys back. And if they do have them back, well, game on. As for a combined 23-man squad, what would you go with and what does it tell us? I've gone like this. So firstly, yeah, as I've said, Esterhuizen and Fassi not available. Both of those would very much be in contention if they were. I suppose for the Sharks that they're probably going to put Jordan Hendricks at a 15 and Sia Masuku at 10. Anyway, let's start with the pack firstly. I've gone for the two South African props, Unche and Koch. There's an argument that Bongi Mbonambi should be in the hooker position. He is probably the best scrummaging hooker in the world. Piato Malvaka is just insane though, so I've gone with him. Etzebeth and Miafu, I mean, that battle between the two of them in that enforcer role is worth the entrance fee alone. I cannot wait to see those giant human beings collide against each other in anger. I think Toulouse have got the better second row pairing because they've got Miafu and Thibaut Flamont. Assuming, again, like I say, that Toulouse... I mean, this video will be ridiculous and look silly now if they go and pick a second choice team. I'm really hoping they go full ball. As for the back row, I've gone for Khaleesi at 8, where Sharks have been playing him quite a bit recently. He's been having a really good season as well. I've gone for Crow and Willis as the flankers, who are so good. It pains me that Jack Willis cannot play for England because he plays in France. I wouldn't want him to play anywhere else, though, because he's playing with absolute superstars and he's got so much better as a result. Jack Willis and Francois Crow are so good. So you can see the pack, 4 Sharks and 4 Toulouse, 4 from Stade Toulousain. I think the set piece is even more important for the Sharks than it normally is. And I'll come to the back line and you can kind of see it gets very red from here. And I think that's the concern for the Sharks. I think Toulouse are hard to contain if their pack give them good ball. That front 5, Unche, Mbonambi, Koch, Etzebeth, with the help of Khaleesi as well, they have got to starve Toulouse of good set-piece ball. And if they can do that, they're in with a shot. If they can't do that, then look at the back line. I think Toulouse could run riot. Now, DuPont, teams managed to get to him in that autumn international series. New Zealand got to him. For Toulouse, teams have been getting to him, and it does change his performance. I mean, quite often teams will double, triple team DuPont, and that just creates space for players elsewhere, which, you know, so it's a double-edged sword. If you go after DuPont too much, well, they've got other players that will shred you as well. Not least Untamak, who's outside him. Who they play, I don't know. They could go Ramos at 10 and have Untamak on the bench because they've got 4 international fullbacks in their squad. They could play Malia there, they could play Kinghorn there, they could play Capawatso there. I don't know what the team is going to be. I know that if Esterhuizen were available, I would have him in a 15 because he's so good. Chocobares isn't too shabby though, and I'd probably shunt him to 13. Hopefully Lecanio Am is available, so while they don't have Esterhuizen, they do have Am. I would go Makazole Mapimpi, who's having a great season over Labelle, but I'd probably put Blair Kinghorn or Malia or one of the Toulouse players on the other wing. And I think 5 players to 2 on the in the back line for Toulouse speaks to where their strength is. Like I say, if they get good ball with the pack, they go. The thing about Toulouse, when you watch them play, when they just drop the hammer, when one player makes a break, it's the way they flood through, and those support lines, it's just almost automatic. They just know a player's going to be there, and just offloads in contact and just after contact are what kills you. And particularly, even if Sharks manage to pin them down, Toulouse are always in a game going to have a 5 or 10 minute spell where they get a bit of space, and their ability to just go bang, 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 try, game done, is what makes them so dangerous. The bench, I think with players like Malia, Peter Aki, but it could be Capawatso, it could be Kinghorn, who knows, it could be Ramos, I don't know who they're going to have on the bench, but their players on the bench are so good. Marchand and Jelonch are proven test internationals on the bench, and I think that's where Sharks don't quite have the same depth. They've got an amazing starting 15 if they can get everyone out. No, Fassi and Esterhuizen is huge. Their bench, their squad more broadly, isn't at the level of where Toulouse's is, so I think that's going to be the thing. Toulouse's overall strength and bench strength versus home advantage. Those are the 2 factors, and how is it going to weigh up? I think personally it's going to weigh up if Toulouse pick their strongest team, and if players like Etzebeth and Mbonambi are available, I think it just goes Toulouse's way. Maybe Toulouse by 8 or maybe 10 points. but Toulouse have got the capacity to win by 30. Sharks, equally, if they play to their potential, they've got the capability to win this one. So I'm going to land on at this stage, before having seen a single player selected, I'm going to go with Toulouse by 10. Tell me what you think. Are you as excited about this game as I am? This, for me, is the focal point of the Champions Cup weekend, and maybe the focal point of the Champions Cup competition so far, because we've got international players, we've got a test match in club colours, we've got a team taking a really strong team away from home, hopefully, and we have got just, yeah, this as I've said already, and I'll finish with this. This is what the Champions Cup should be all about, and needs to be all about much more. I'll have more videos to come building up to the Champions Cup weekend, but I thought I'd just get the ball rolling nice and early. I'll see you on the next one.